an exciting
Wow.
town.
It's
If that's your
My
bar for
friend,
excitement.
she lives by the railroad tracks, and there's a homeless encampment. Oh, are we on?
Yeah.
You're,
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
you're
on the record.
Yeah.
I'm just letting, let me,
The homeless people now pee on the corner.
Oh my God, that is excitement in Glendora.
That's exciting.
She's like this, how do you explain that to your kids?
just so you know, well, I guess I could do it for you, but, Katie won't be here, Kate. She's got the family.
All right.
Hey, Crystal will be here.
I think she dropped off her daughter.
Yeah. But hopefully she's talking about the budget.
Okay, well, we'll call the order, it's 8:30. Welcome, everyone. This is not.
I think it's on, it's that.
No one's gonna do. Okay. Well. All right. Well, good morning, everyone. This meeting is being broadcast on Zoom and recorded on the record. If you are interested in speaking during public comments, let us know. This is a public meeting for the community of Glendora. We appreciate and respect your participation here this morning. There are 3 of us. We have quorum, and Crystal is on the way. We will do the Pledge of Allegiance. And all right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Okay, does anyone wish to reorder or add to the agenda this morning?
I just have one note. It is agendized to give Katie her oath.
Yes.
Since she's not able to be here, table that for next.
Okay. All right, we will open the public comment period. Do you have anyone on Zoom?
Frank Arturo is. I don't know if you want to speak, Frank.
Can you hear me? I'm driving at the moment.
Oh, yeah, we can hear you now.
I just wanted to listen in and see if you guys were gonna bring up some of the topics that I had emailed you directly on, Joe.
Yeah, during my part, I have it, but if you want to talk about it too, that's
all
fine.
right. I'm actually heading in that direction. I'll be there in about 10 minutes, so we can take it up then, or if you guys can just cover it in the meantime.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Frank. Okay, we will.
Is it?
All right. We will close the public comment period. All right. Kathy, Callan, anyone have anything that you want to talk about?
No.
Okay. I have just one really quick thing. I don't really have this fully formed in my head, but the Bella posted on their window that they are closing. One of the things that they called out on that was their issue with their landlord over not being able to come to an agreement on a new lease. And so I think there's some things, it's interesting that Frank is on his way, but I think there might be some opportunities this year to engage building owners a little bit more. And because, I don't know anything about that situation, but the fact that they said something about it in their poster indicates that's a real issue for them. And So with that and some of the other buildings and some of the other things that building owners are doing have a huge impact on on the downtown, maybe even more so than some of the other things that we've been talking about. And so being able to engage them, I think would be a good thing. Maybe that's a committee, maybe that's something else, but just something to think about for the next month. Formalize that a little bit more and bring it up in the next meeting.
But you want to agendize something
Not
with
yet.
that or not? Okay.
But I just wanted to say that was on my mind.
Do we still send information out to building owners when we have things going on, events and things like that?
We send stuff out to every email we have, which there are several building owners on it.
Okay, Joe?
Well, let's see, a couple things, just kind of chamber stuff if you're interested. Today we're having our networking lunch of our calendars. The annual request for Citizen of the Year nominations is out. And you have until January 30th at 5 p.m. to nominate well-deserved citizen of Glendora to earn to receive this prestigious award where they get a dinner in their honor and all that kind of fun stuff. So the event is in April, but the nomination is due at the end of the month. And then the third one there is what Frank was referring to. He sent emails. I think we've all talked about it before. And emails copying me, said the city PD about bike riding in the village. Oh, here. Sent a video of one, which I'm sure we've all seen it, where riding an e-bike down Mita as people were going this way and just meets them right in the corner. Was going slow, didn't hit him, but the potential is that. Hi, Frank. And I know Chief mentioned in one email that they were talking about more of a holistic approach, but I don't know if anybody else wants to chime in, because I haven't been part of any of that discussion.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm aware that staff is looking into this and trying to figure out what the options are, next steps are to addressing e-bikes in the village.
Is there a broader, so I think at the beginning of the school year, the principals of the junior highs in particular sent out messages to everybody about e-bikes in the different classes of them and what was allowed and what wasn't for kids, you know, between the ages or like under 18. And effectively what that message seemed to suggest was that most of the bikes that we see kids riding around in Glendora are actually not legal. But
I believe so.
so is there something on the city side? Like, are there conversations about how to deal with that? Or is that just sort of, this is the way that the world is going and there's nothing we can do about it?
At this point, if we could continue this conversation into the next meeting so that maybe we can coordinate with the bringing in a little bit more information for the bid. What I do know is that there's, for example, there's stenciling on the sidewalk that say what you can and can't do on the sidewalk. But at this point, we would need to come back with you with more information of what's street legal and what's not, and all of the other types of things. I mean, I think we all generally know, but I think it would be helpful just to have that information in front of you.
Yeah. So it's, I mean, Frank, thanks for coming. It seems like there's two kind of enduring issues. One is the downtown. You've got kids on like almost like dirt motorcycles, but are electrified, doing wheelies down Glendora Avenue in the middle of the village.
And the sidewalks.
Then you've got them doing the same thing on the sidewalks. You've got kids, right? Well, you know, and so you're sitting at Ramon's having dinner, and there's kids like going by on e-bikes, And obviously, that's not something that we want. We don't want that, you know.
Do you want me to speak to it briefly?
Sure.
So there's the broader issue of property management. The village is like a shopping center, but in the case of this shopping center, the city owns circulation factors, the common areas. So there's the management of that. This is a management issue. If you go to shopping centers, colleges, universities, this is ongoing everywhere. There's signs, there's security, and there's enforcement. Right? Nobody's doing that. Right? There's no signs that are effective. The stuff on the sidewalk is faded and gone. And there's nobody walking through the village to try to enforce it after school hours. We want the kids to enjoy the community. We want them to come up with the same kind of feelings towards the downtown I did from growing up in the community. But there's a point of misbehaving that isn't being addressed. And these things today, you know, this isn't the beach cruiser I was putting down the sidewalk. These things are motorcycles. You know, I had motorcycles as a kid growing up in Glendora too, but I wasn't shooting down the sidewalks on them. And that's exactly what they're doing. I'm surprised nobody's gotten seriously hurt yet. Just in the 2 20-minute property management walks I do a week around our building, I've shot dozens of videos of accidents and potential accidents. And you can't catch it all because, you know, I'm trying to reach it and it's like, wow, I can't catch that. They're already shooting down the sidewalk super fast. So, you know, this is part of a broader issue of who's managing the village, who's managing the areas that a shopping center would normally have, you know, being taken care of. We're almost like a bunch of condo owners where there's a common area that's not being addressed by anybody. And we need to pay more attention to that. So these things that they're making a big deal of technically what kind of bike it is, that's a bunch of government, you know, minutia. You don't have mopeds, you don't have motorcycles on the sidewalks. This stuff is addressed by shopping centers, schools, and universities. Why can't we simply address it here too? You know, it doesn't have to be made a big deal. Put some signs out, have some community of service officers walking around, couple hours, couple days a week. It doesn't have to be a big ordeal. So,
All right, so we'll work on signage, which and see if we can get that updated. And, and then
Yeah, we'll come back with you with more information. We can work through Joe and with the emails that have come through. I heard this is more interesting issues.
the side note, if you guys want to chat later about Luca Bella thing too, I heard you mentioning that. I've got some feedback for you guys on that,
yeah, I would love to.
whenever you guys want to deal with it.
Okay. Chantal.
Good morning and happy new year. It's a new year, so I just want to remind everyone that we are still doing our open rewards program. Right here. So your customers or you yourself can earn 5% on your cash on your purchases at restaurants or retailers, and grocery stores, and tell your customers, let everyone know. Also too, just a reminder that the Small Business Development Center is here to help you guys, help your businesses, help the businesses in the village, or any other business owners or potential business owners that would like to open in Glendora. They will do free one-on-one consulting, and now we're in the new year, taxes are coming up. They can help with that too, or reorganizing your finances, seeing how that looks, they can help with that. Also too, I know we're gonna get into the budget, but I just want a reminder that the budget needs to be approved by next meeting, and then I will bring back the annual plan in March.
For the rewards network or open rewards, are all of the businesses already enrolled in it
Yes,
that are in Glendora?
yes. retailers, restaurants, and grocery stores, yes.
So at some point, is the city gonna give us like, stats on like where people are spending their money? Like, so we can see, get an idea of like how much is coming downtown, how much is like out, you know, the outer parts of Glendora, like the shopping centers or whatever.
If you wanna know, we can bring up that at the next meeting.
I mean, I
It
would be
won't
interested to know.
as detailed as, the village is bringing in this particular amount.
Yeah.
Only because of what's on the dashboard that they provide for us,
Okay.
but we can bring that back on.
Okay,
the next
like even if it's just in like specific areas of Glendora, I'd like to see something like where people are spending their money.
Okay. Thank you, Chantal.
meeting.
Do we have Megan on?
Megan's not on, but Louise is.
Okay. Hi, Louise.
Hi, good morning and happy new year.
You too.
I hope everyone had an amazing holiday. I sent an email this morning just to give you guys some exciting numbers. And so I'll just present them on here also. And so this year, on Instagram, we surpassed 8,000 followers with almost 9,000 followers by the end of the year. In the past year, we hit 1.2 million views and reach an average of 1,300 unique people a day, averaging at just under 500,000 brand new people for the entire year. On Facebook, we passed 6,000 followers, and Facebook posts and our content reached 1.18 million views with over 65,000 engagements, reactions, likes, comments, and shares. Our website visitors, we had a total of 26,000, just over 26,000 visitors with a performance score of 96, which means that whenever we have a visitor, our website is good, engaging, and easy to follow, good click-throughs and things like that. Our business profile garnered almost 11,700 views. That means, when you hop on Google, you're gonna review the Glendora Village as a whole. And so in total, we have 14,000 followers across our social platform, and then we were able to garner over 2 million views across the board for the Glendora Village. So that's actually a pretty good year.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything that we need to talk to Louise about coming up in the next month that we would want to highlight, or anything we would want her to know?
Specifically, we should be looking out for a wine walk promotional content calendar. One that goes hand in hand, not just with the release of the tickets, but also teasing the wine walk and really making it a big ordeal. So from the event marketing committee side, we're putting some ideas together on how to have a proper rollout for this specific campaign.
Sounds good. Wine walks in March. Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely have wine walk pushes, and the good thing is we actually have some really nice assets from wine walk, so that'll be nice to push out. But in terms of January, I'm trying to focus on just like new updates or new things that the restaurants and the stores are doing. So like fresh new year, new you, all the health and wellness stuff, anything that anything that people focus in January. January is the slowest for all businesses across the board. So, that's what we normally push. And then leading into Valentine's Day. And then so focusing on Valentine's Day, and then also we'll have wine walk content going in pretty much like, I want to say the second half of January and most of February, because wine walk is in March this year. So we'll definitely want to use the entirety of the month to push. Will there be an ad budget for wine walk? I know there was one last year.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Very cool. Great.
Okay, thanks, Louise.
Yeah, of course.
All right, moving on to consent calendar. This is one vote for both items. One is to affirm the minutes from December 4th. The second is the bid advisory board expenditures for fiscal year 25-26 through December 31st, 2025. That is not the workshop for for the upcoming budget. That's affirming the report from
Current
last year.
financials.
Yeah.
Just current financials.
I'd like to approve the consent calendar.
A second.
All in favor? Aye. Perfect. Okay, new business, 2026-2027 budget review.
Hello, everybody. This is the first time we are going over this together as a group. It really is intended for discussion purposes and budget committee taking a stab at what we should be looking at for fiscal year 26-27. So take that with a grain of salt and trying to provide a structured approach, but definitely open to shaping and figuring out what to do moving forward. Most importantly, reviewing the last 5 years of budgets and understanding what's transpired. I think we really need to ground ourselves in why the bid exists. So really just summarizing the bylaws, thinking about supporting the physical and financial health of Glendora Village with long-term economic vitality, and specifically using business-funded assessments very intentionally instead of in previous years kind of rolling over an existing budget. So truly working in partnership with the city and the community. I think this line is really important, building and caring for a vibrant destination that honors Glendora Village's history while supporting modern businesses, everyday services, and community life, and really touching beyond retail hospitality, but also service-based offices, even residents that are in our local community, and being able to better serve everybody together. What we're stewarding, we are really responsible as a bid board for allocating the assessment dollars and understanding how to maximize the spend, putting together programs that actually support business and merchant vitality in the community, and then marketing, communication, activations, and long-term sustainability of the bid itself, which is where the fiscal responsibility part really comes in. So given that information, we're making decisions, prioritizing programs that have clear business merchant benefit. And I do think that that is super important as we look line by line at legacy events or items that have been funded for community activities, but really breaking apart goodwill activities that have previously been built into the budget versus what is driving the financial health for the bid and the fiscal viability of the bid. Truly trying to avoid assumptions about costs that we don't control. Like, I'll be super transparent, there's been a line for landscaping that's been sitting in the budget for years that's not been used, but they're dollars that get allocated every year. So just thinking about like the tenets of control between what is the city funding, what is a bid responsible for funding, and how are these dollars being maximized, and then making trade-offs really visible and intentional and shaping the budget. So thinking about high priority, what the local business owners tell us really matters. So far, the hottest topics and the most important things to everybody that's vocal in the community has been marketing that makes people seek out Glendora Village as a specific destination of choice, events that drive real foot traffic and sales simultaneously, because I do think we get a lot of feedback about events that drive foot traffic but kind of kill the street in a way in terms of the service economy or retail or hospitality, and then really just building a district that feels cared for and welcoming and inviting, that is safe and that also looks fantastic. So as we start to really shape it around specifically the bid bylaws, what we're here to do, who we're here to serve, it's really important to align that spend with that information, respect the source of the funding, which is levied from the independent businesses, and keep the bid financially healthy with some unified measurable goals through finances. What we've learned from our past spending is that consistent marketing and communication works well. A flagship hero event like the Wine Walk ends up funding most of the activities beyond the dues that are assessed each year, and then investment in beautification and presentation of the bid and making it a beautiful space. What hasn't compounded, and I don't want to say just like generally not compounded, but yet, are events that don't necessarily have a business or merchant sales impact. The Halloween Walk, for example, is one gesture of goodwill for the community that completely kills any economic activity on the street. So it's important to be mindful of we're still here to serve this public and be able to participate as business owners, but also to what extent are these specific activities funded by the bid versus by the independent businesses, et cetera. Something like the chalk walk as well is something that has been restored in the last year, and in the budget recommendations is something that is recommended to be reviewed as it transpires this year, since it's on our calendar, but just really understand how many events need to run at a particular loss in the budget versus things that really need to bring the revenue in the door, like the wine walk event. Also unsponsored enhancements. For example, the Halloween walk had our trains in our budget, which are loved and amazing and a great gesture of goodwill, but we ended up losing money on that particular event because of the trains, because we didn't secure a sponsor for them. And also one-off activations that maybe not necessarily have a follow-up that go with them. So really just need to protect what compounds, be intentional about our goodwill, and avoid funding losses by default. And truly, this whole goal has been avoiding budgeting to a deficit like it's been each year. So on a zero-sum basis, taking into account all of the different accounts in QuickBooks, just starting to build a budget that is intentional and directional for the next few years about the bid specifically. So again, not reading this because it's been stated a few different times, but the core approach to allocating dollars has been in 4 specific buckets. One being core infrastructure. We need the day-to-day teams, tools to be able to run our social media accounts, our marketing, our events, background communications to be able to produce the revenue generating events or even just be top of mind for the public. Number 2 is more the flagship revenue events that are proven and merchant supported, consistently well reviewed. 3 is seasonal and community events, which are goodwill, but really understanding how to cap that from a budgetary perspective. And then the baseline maintenance presentation for the beautification and district appearance of the bid. So high level budget allocation, again, pure recommendations of how to use the money at hand based on, there's a couple of variations of budgets. The one that Jill had provided to me for the last budget season had been about 120,800 that was budgeted as the revenue number. Conservatively, I'm looking more 110,500 as we're reviewing through the budget committee, and then suggesting allocation based on that. So in terms of core infrastructure, program delivery, you're really looking at line items like our social media coordinator, our web domain hosting, our event and communication coordinator, some of the tools that they use, and even stuff like marketing banners that are placed throughout the village. Additionally, flagship revenue events, the first one, the core infrastructure budgeted at 35 to 40% of the total revenue anticipated. And then flagship revenue events at 30 to 35,000. So really the wine walk and the holiday stroll. Super important to break apart the holiday stroll and Santa in the Village in terms of the total foot traffic performance and what it's actually doing to bring economic vitality to the businesses downtown. So 3 being bucketed as seasonal community events at 10 to 15% of the total budget, which is where the Halloween walk, chalk walk, Friday Night Twilight, Santa in the Village would live. Friday Night Twilight kind of sits in between 2 and 3 just because it's such extensive programming filling the schedule. But I think we have suggestions on how to improve that to move it into a flagship revenue event. So that's coming soon. Another bucket, the beautification baseline maintenance, 5 to 8% of our total budget. Right now, it's really banners, maintenance, visual identity. There used to be an additional $10,000 budgeted as a landscaping line item, and that's kind of gone back and forth with like, it's budget that's not being used. Should it be used? Should bid dollars actually be funding this? Is it a sort of city service that's funding it? So just trying to find the right allocation, and we can always move it if we do need to budget for it specifically. But then also having a contingency risk reserve of 5% just to be able to make some mid-year adjustments, make sure we're not constantly rebudgeting. And that left over after all those budget items, the line item 6 with 5 to 7% for pilot programs and strategic initiatives. Specifically, I'm thinking about a discussion of the farmers market that continues to happen, but actually carving out space in the budget to be able to. So this is like generally the idea of the budget allocation. And here's what it looks like on a balanced budget basis using all available anticipated revenue that's incoming. I know it's a lot of information and I know it's a lot of numbers and it's something that we can really kind of chat through, especially in our next committee meetings, but this is the paper that's also in front of you so that you can actually look at the suggestions based on per basis and per line item. So I'm sure questions, comments, concerns, ideas.
The next slide is easier to see. It
Awesome.
just has
Perfect.
two on it. Feel that. Let's call it.
Can I ask a quick question? You guys have any traffic studies on the village as far as car counts?
No.
I know.
You guys don't do that anymore?
But during a normal
Cities-
day, have we
It
ever?
used to be done pretty regularly. So everything in retail is really based on traffic counts. And I could give Starbucks a free location in the village, they couldn't care less. So you've got to have so many cars a day, so much traffic going by every day, in order to get a percentage of that. So if the village isn't monitoring that on a yearly basis, you guys have no way of knowing how many bodies are coming into the village and whether any of this is improving or not improving.
Frank, I think it's a really good point.
Your traffic
Let's,
factors.
let's table that for a moment, because I want to make sure that we
Do your thing, I just want to throw that out there for you guys.
thank you. All right, so when we look at stuff like print ads, newspaper, some of the things that were kind of miscellaneous or a little bit more of a gray area, like are these actually being used or not being used? What were some of the things that you found?
Yes, some of the not used categories, print ads was one. We were able to take a look and consolidate that into 405. Social media ads, web ads, special marketing, print ads can easily fall into a budget that's carved out for that.
Got it.
In terms of budget adjustments, like 402, we should really change that account to social media communications coordinator.
Yeah.
Just to white label it a little bit more, but one of the theses in this budget that's really important as well is I know that we are going out to RFP to solicit a social media coordinator in the context of adding some additional responsibilities. However, this budget also assumes account 402 has the $14,000 budget for that.
Yep.
There's one more line item that previously, like the budget this year was $24,000, and I think it's only the photography fees that have come out of 405. So for the next fiscal year, the budget is $5,000, but pairing a content creation account that goes hand in hand with the social media communications coordinator account so that they have a resource that they can manage through approvals of whoever's overseeing that at the committee level, but to source content creators, to source photographers, videographers when it's needed.
So one of the things about that is that those RFPs, I think, are looking at between $24,000 and $30,000 for each of them for the year for all of that.
Yeah,
Is
that's
that-
what it hasn't, we haven't talked about it, but just to give you the idea, the
Yeah.
range is 18 to 46,000.
Okay.
Yeah, just to.
That makes sense. And then other unused, what am I looking through? Again, like 700 landscaping, there's a $10,000 budget that sits there.
Yeah, right.
It hasn't been used.
Right.
What else are we looking at? The music system is a one-time cost in the last 5 years of $405. Storage unit expense was one that is important to maintain, and the cost looks like it has newly entered in the 2024-25. We have the village seasonal banners. I think Joe had mentioned that 24-25 was a one-time maintenance cost. It was like $6,100, $6,181.25.
But there were a bunch of them that were messed up, so they have to be redone.
Those are the banners that we're talking about redoing.
Yeah,
And is the $6,000 like the just them coming out and changing them 4 times a year?
No, that's $250. They were making new ones,
Because of the
and
wind.
because of the wind, and some were really old, so just replacing them.
So when we replace all of those,
There's several $1,000s.
Okay.
but
got it.
Because there's so many of them.
The other budget that was not being used, was designated 506 special event other. Some years had a few $100s, 2024-25 had $5,600, this year $5,100. So just trying to understand that a little bit better, but also leverage that account for new pilot program event like farmers market or anything else that we would want to introduce.
Right.
I also think it's really important, the budget doesn't assume any incoming revenue from sponsorships because they're not guaranteed. So any sponsorship income for any initiative, if we do chalk walk and we do a little market with outside vendors, if we do holiday stroll, we have a market with outside vendors, that would be intended as bonus to the budget, not actually budgeting with that impact. It's been a little fickle to count on the dollars, and I think about the Halloween trains as the example. Bringing in, let's see, Halloween walk, $13.98 of total revenue, and then Halloween walk expenses being $9,200, which is a combination of candy, trains, and enhancements. So it's one of those things where, do we really want to use, at $9,200, that percentage of the dollars in budget towards something that isn't necessarily creating economic vitality and is a gesture of goodwill? And if one suggestion, right, if so many merchants have said 2 bags of candy is nothing, even if you reduce it to a single bag of candy instead of 2 bags of candy, or you eliminated the candy budget and made it an option, like there's some cost savings when you're spending thousands of dollars in candy. So there's suggestions, again, it's not like I'm trying to cancel Halloween, but just making suggestions of how those dollars, say we do want to have a mid-tier person in our social media RFP, and that is of utmost importance to the local business owners, then how do we borrow those dollars from other places to be able to fund what is actually priority? Kind of the purpose of this too is really defining truly what are our priorities so that we can align that in the budget specifically.
Question, sorry. How is, the holiday stroll considered a flagship revenue generator?
It's the number of people that come into
Right.
the
but
space, right?
We're talking
Flooding
about
Street.
big budget though.
Yes, big budget, and really the budget going toward the holiday stroll, I believe, pays for porta potties, right? Pretty much, porta potties and a couple of extras. So, in terms of that, it's a pretty low cost of entry with legacy heritage event that draws a good amount of foot traffic, with local business owners saying that that's one of their best business days.
Right. Right. I mean, it's a good revenue generator for the businesses in general. I'm just saying that as a budget line item, it's specifically you put it on a revenue generating for the bid. The bid doesn't make money from that, so it's more of technically a goodwill gesture,
Makes sense.
but
So you're talking about revenue generation for the bid budget versus revenue generation for the bid businesses?
right, because I mean, the Halloween walk doesn't generate revenue for the day of the event, but it brings people back to spend money in the village, so.
It also depends on who you are. The restaurants generate revenue during the Halloween walk,
Right,
but retail shops don't.
that's why I was just trying to get an idea of like how some things made it to the flagship revenue generating and some don't.
Yeah, I mean, it can definitely be category 3, balance budget, and figure out if we want to fund the porta potties for the holiday stroll.
Yeah, because I know the only thing we do make money on is the walk. Like we
Yeah.
actually generate money for.
Truthfully, it puts more pressure on the legacy events, right? If there's any specific event that is out of, what is this? Wine walk, chalk walk, holiday stroll, Santa in the village gets broken up because the holiday stroll was budgeted at $17,000, but that's not specifically the holiday stroll, that's all of the calendar months initiatives. So, even just thinking about that piece of it, that $6,000 that's sitting for the holiday stroll, if it goes into category 3, puts more pressure to justify chalk walk, Friday night twilight, holiday stroll, right? So it's one of those things where I agree, the terminology doesn't necessarily align with the framework.
I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah.
Can I just make one note, just so looking at this sheet, there's a lot of blank lines here, or blank areas. I did my best to break the items up because previous budgets, they were grouped, you know, so that's why, like, the totals are there, it's hard to really tell you which amount was in which one. So, like, a lot of it was like a miscellaneous, and it had all the marketing, it had all the sound and all that, so that's why there's nothing's really new, it's just broken up.
I think all this is very comprehensive. And it's nice to see it actually balanced, because it's been a number of years that we've sort of been assuming that we're operating at a deficit, that the wine walk is basically just sort of funding, we have a surplus in the bank, and we're running social media and all of that at a deficit. I don't know whether that's, you know, I mean, you're seeing some deficit numbers. So it's nice to see it actually balanced. I am concerned about social media and the costs associated with doing what we want to do there. But we also don't know whether wine walk revenue is actual, you know, there might be another $10,000 there. Although actual was 55 for 24-25. I was higher than that.
That's what's in the books.
That's what's in the books.
Let's just to know, you have almost $190,000+ sitting in the bank too, that hasn't been used for years.
Right. And we had talked previously about putting that into a high yield savings account.
Oh, yeah,
It is now?
Yeah, they just had $1,000 deposit in it the other day, so. Yeah, it's, the interest is.
301 interest income.
Actually, might not show on this report, but it's doing well. I mean,
High yield savings, I mean, at 3.5%, $190,000 is gonna net us
well, yeah, like,
multiple $1,000s a year.
you know, right now it's about $2,000 receipt.
For one period of time,
From
since it was in
this fiscal year. Because I think it's a 3%, something like that. Which is higher than you can get right now. Because you go in right now, it's lower.
My only comment I have on the budget and what we have to like retouch on is the social media portion of it. I feel like we talk about budgeting, which you said the median line is 47,000, or what we are getting in RFPs.
let's call it 24 to 30. Yeah.
Okay, so what I've heard over a few months is that business owners are not getting what they want out of our social media posts. If we are paying that amount of money and we're still not hitting the mark on what our business owners want, because I still, as business owner, I have to tag us to repost it. And when someone comes in and makes a post, it's not towards my brand. Is it gonna be worth us spending our money that is gonna trying to help the businesses to spend more on a social media marketer? Or, does that make sense? Like, are we gonna hit the mark every single time is it worth us spending the money on it to try and improve what we're doing right now? Or do we have to readjust what we're looking at to really market the businesses downtown as a stopping point and not just a stepping stone to Pasadena? You know, like I just worry that, like how Crystal has budgeted it right now, we budgeted it like it's less, I understand that, but maybe we could bring in, I don't know, like someone from, I don't know if they have a program, but like Citrus College that is up and coming, starting out, you know, or even the high school, you know, getting them out here. They have their own photography class. And I understand it might not be like a professional company, but us looking outside of the box to bring in the community that might bring in more families like, oh, you helped me out, or you helped my son out to get started. I'm gonna go to the wishing well. I'm going to go, like, you know, think of more of a community aspect than a corporation. Now that's just, I don't know if that would help out, but maybe if we're looking at something different, you know, bringing in also like our twilight nights, are I don't know, if we just bring like the band or something, would bring in more people downtown. I'm just saying like
Yeah.
the marching band,
Yeah.
it would, because you invite your grandma, you invite your aunts and uncles, and then everyone has to eat. Everyone wants to shop. That would bring more people downtown than what we have right now in the acts that we have. You know, I'm trying to say it in the most kindest way, and I don't know if this is the time to say it, but, you know, I just think the point of the bid is to enhance downtown and the community. But yes, but I mean, we're the businesses, we're representing the businesses, and I don't know if we're making the mark and getting, or maybe, I mean, I don't know, I haven't seen anything that the social media people are putting out there that have applied for the job. So maybe they are going to be amazing. I'm just saying we're spending a lot of money to maybe have the same thing.
Well, you know, just to, my opinion, running the Chamber of Commerce since 2011, you're not gonna please everybody.
Which I know, but I just think if we were able to maybe think out of the box.
Well, so
Especially with social media.
with regard,
Yeah,
with
with
regard to social media, I think one of the things that we're trying to solve for with
Everybody
social
has a better
media
idea.
is so far we paid $14,000 a year for social media. And it's been a heavily on highlighting businesses and on retagging and reposting business posts. I think what the feedback that we've gotten is that there's not enough lifestyle. There's not enough events. There's not enough things that invite people into the village. It's more just highlighting stuff. And one of the things that we're trying to address with the RFP is, can we have someone come in and do a more well-rounded job of doing lifestyle and businesses and events, and that's going to cost us more. If that doesn't work, and we also talk about the question of whether or not there's a measure, is there something measurable, tangible that we can say, oh, we invested another $6,000 in social media this year, another $10,000 in social media this year. It's now our single highest line item, budget item. But we increased foot traffic to the village year over year. We saw a 25% increase in foot traffic just by doing something with that lever alone. We don't have it. Frank's point, we don't have that statistic. And Louise can talk about all of these stats on Instagram. It's like, okay, that's great, but like, I don't know what the change is year over year in those numbers. Was that 3%
Yeah.
increase,
Those are, yeah.
10% increase.
Those are bodies in the village.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, those-
so-
Those have nothing to do with sales.
Right.
Social media doesn't. I mean, it's great, it's visual, it's people seeing ads and seeing stuff, which is great.
But
It's
that's
hard to tell you how to get that into sales.
right, and that's been a question that we've been asking for the last 3 years is, okay, we have social media, how do I know that this post got these people into this business? And there is not a way to do that.
Does the city have sales stats for the village?
Um, we
In
have
fact, when it was in the
general,
redevelopment area, we used to have actual sales
Right.
figures.
right, and, that one, the data is a little bit, depending on the number of visits, it's a little bit of a confidential.
We used to be able to compare year-over-year sales years ago.
Yeah, we
In the
can,
village, I don't know if we can do that anymore, but if you're putting all this money into marketing and your sales aren't increasing, then
but I just really want to go back to Callan's point about Citrus College and maybe leveraging them a little bit more. I know that with their new public affairs communications lead, Lisa, she's interested in partnering more with communities. Maybe there are some gaps that could be filled if, for example, like photography needs additional help through maybe the school, or even if information is needed. I'm sure there's like a political science department, right? If students are willing to do help collect, it's not the best.
No,
I think
But
the
it is
challenge
some-
there is going to be who manages that. So, okay,
Right.
let's just say, for example, for the sake of argument, that I think Friday Night Twilight, like that's a fantastic suggestion, is that we have a bunch of random bands. One of the best bands that we had was from Citrus College. Like their group of people that came, they were phenomenal. But Glendora High School, let's have like the marching band come and do something, or things like that are more community based.
Well, and maybe have the subcommittee look into these types of opportunities.
why don't you do it on Sundays or Saturdays? Fridays, people are at work, rushed, tired, going home. We grab a pizza for our family, we're not going out Friday night.
Sure.
But why don't you do it on nights when families can be more involved?
Great suggestions.
I think there was other city events going on, like during the summer, they had the movies in the park on Sunday. I think it was thinking the thought on doing events on Friday was bringing people downtown to like go out to dinner or to shop. And I think I'm tired every single night.
It doesn't make a difference if it's Saturday or Sunday. Like if I don't want to go out, I'm not going out. But
We're not rushing home from work on the freeway necessarily on Saturday night.
no, but I'm out at a football field all day long, and I think that if we were to bring community, would bring more foot traffic to downtown.
Let me spin it in a more accessible way. What do other shopping centers do?
Which shopping centers are we speaking about?
Pick one, Victoria Gardens, Fashion Island, Newport.
Victoria-
Fashion Island, Newport has their Sunday concerts. I'm walking through Fashion Island and the motels are playing on Sunday afternoon. They don't do that Friday nights. for a reason,
Victoria
so-
Gardens has it's not a stepping stone, I believe. It is a destination point. Downtown Glendora,
Should be a destination.
100%. If we could get a destination point
So
of being
replicate what
downtown,
successful people are doing.
I mean, if you look at the city of Covina that launched their Friday night farmers markets with live events, activities, they actually ended up doing some civic planning around that specifically to locate it onto a lot because it was so successful.
I've been around a while. Our committee actually started Glendora's Farmers Market
was great.
25 years ago.
Okay, so I think our meaningful action points on this. Are there specific things that are budget line items that we want to get feedback on before this goes back to the committee and then comes back to us next month to vote in?
we wanted to raise social media or
Well, all of our RFP bids are between $24,000 and $40,000. I think $48,000 is out of range, but let's just say for the sake of argument that it's going to be between $2,000 and $2,500 a month.
But we
So that's an extra,
need to research it.
$10,000 minimum
25,000.
for management. And then another 5,000 for ad spend or influencer spend or whatever else is there.
The other consideration with the RFP is right sizing the scope. So right now, the scope includes that person doing content creation, a content calendar, right, versus just the day-to-day management of the assets. So that's another consideration, is taking everything into review, picking a budget and seeing who wants to align with the budget.
Most of the bids are hourly charges, so those, and there's, oh, so many hours for this, so, yeah, they're not.
I mean, one of those bids was someone working essentially 40 hours a month, 10 hours a week on all of this. And I'm not sure what they're going to do for 10 hours, 2 hours a day for our social media account. But so yes, right sizing it. There is more feedback that we can give, but that is what we asked for. He said, who can do all of it, so that we're not going out and doing photography ourselves, and we're not going out and, if we want it to be minimal, then that's a little bit more aligned with what we currently have. That's baseline.
I feel like we need a consensus on the top 3 most important things we want to work on for 26, 27.
Well, I mean, I would say one is that we have the money for pursuing a farmer's market. 2, we have the money to fund social media for a year, even at a deficit if we have to. And do that as a test, and if there's no meaningful difference in any of it, then we go back to what we have. And then I think probably, like, we can get into the minutia of all of the various line items, but from a higher standpoint, I think like we're aligned with the spirit of all of this. Alan, would you agree that there might be some changes that we can make to Friday Night Twilights or Halloween or here and there, but that this essentially addresses those?
Mhm.
All right, do we need a motion to now take this and send it back to committee, or?
You're not approving anything,
Yeah,
it's just a
supposed to make
discussion.
recommendations.
Yeah, it's just a budget workshop that.
There's probably more conversation that we could have about the, allocation pillar levels for things. But once, if this is a functional budget, then we can have conversations about what our primary revenue drivers for the businesses. And this looks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And again, it's just trying to put a framework together, like the framework didn't exist. So framework can even be altered if it needs to be, but just trying to shape the way that we think about it and leave that, I've started my 4-year tenure, but whoever's next, right? If they can pick up, if they can add to that, if we can codify it, like, it just makes it a little bit easier stepping into it. So you know what you're looking at.
Thank you. Okay, I'd like to try to go through committee stuff as quickly as we can, if possible. Event and marketing committee updates. Crystal and Kathy, is there anything that we need to talk about pre wine walk?
That's what we're focusing on next. We don't have anything for Valentine's Day, really, other than just to kind of, you know, promoting like, hey, bring your date to downtown for dinner or whatever.
Chris, I'm gonna connect you with Matt Miller. He has, I think, some of the keys to Eventbrite and some of
I
this.
got.
You got all of that
Yeah,
stuff?
I did it last year.
Okay. But yeah, like when to start and. I think maybe last year they put a little bit more money into ads. And then we did see a return on that. So. Okay. Social media, the only update we have is that the RFP went out and that we have 4 submissions that are kind of across a pretty broad spectrum
When are we gonna be looking at those?
at our next social media meeting
Well, I mean, as a, yeah,
as a committee,
yeah.
last Wednesday of the month.
So you guys are gonna pick whoever in the committee meeting and then bring it to us? Is that how it's working out?
I think that's probably,
Yeah.
we
I
would,
don't know, however you all want to
Yeah.
do it, but then we have to bring it here for y'all to discuss.
Okay,
If you want to pick one, or if you want to say no and go back out.
we can talk about interviewing them.
Yeah.
Maybe during that time. So what we can follow up with that. Okay, beautification. Chantal. We've been working with Chantal on all of the items in the village, but we'll probably have to have another sync up to talk about where all of that is at in our next communication.
Can I ask you a couple of questions on that?
Sure.
Do we want to talk about anything about bid responsibility, city responsibility, since we're talking about budget, or do you want to do that
Yeah.
in committee and come back?
I think we want to do that in committee. We're kind of sifting through, taking your list of like these are the things that the bid is interested in versus like what the city's responsibilities are, particularly in light of some of these conversations today. And I think the bid also brought up and kind of the building owners too. What is their role? So we'll continue and put that back for some more general information at a future bid meeting.
Then I was wondering if possible, since Frank's here, he had insight on property owners, and since Luca Bell was talked about, I don't know if there's any quick comments.
I would love to close the meeting and then
Okay.
maybe talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
Budget committee, we have done. And any other closing comments?
I did have a concern, and I was gonna
Just
mention.
say it, Kathy.
Well, we had an event happen, I know it was like a televised event, on local news and stuff, and it happened in the street, and I don't think it was a permitted event, but also, like, we had kids in the street, I'm like, it was coned off, but I think there could have been better places to have that event.
What event was it?
Well, it's just a promotion for the girls,
It was a
cheerleading.
Fundraiser.
But,
Okay.
well, no, I thought you guys were just celebrating your number one
It was
status.
a fundraiser that we brought in Channel 11 News for,
Oh,
to raise funds for our cheerleaders to be able to go to competitions.
okay,
So Reformation was one of the top contributors, sponsors for this cheer program, for our cheer program that's in the city of Glendora. What happened was we had in front of Reformation from 7:30 to 11 before, well, we ended at 11:30, before any of the restaurants, businesses opened. We were right outside the first 4 parking spots. We did have girls in the street. We had their parents circling around them with cones. we did stop the traffic at a point with a slow, like a stop sign, when they were recording for us to go live. It was not a permitted event. It was not, the mayor happened to walk by and he was there the whole time.
It's a picture.
But that's what it was. It was not permitted.
Okay.
Well, like, I just, like, it could have been held like in the media area, or the media area where, you know, there's not traffic. Like, I just don't know why that was chosen as a place. I mean, I know it was right in front of Reformation, but I mean, you couldn't see that with the backdrops anyways.
On TV, you could.
Oh, okay. I see. So that was the point, was to.
It was all a marketing ploy, is what it was.
Okay,
One more thing,
yes.
super simple and easy. With Ronnie stepping down, there's a vacancy on the social media committee. I probably missed it because I'm my normal 5 minutes late dropping off my kid. But given that there's an opening, I was hoping that Katie would be here so that we could assess interest.
Yeah.
Do we just discuss that, table it for next month?
Yeah, she would be the natural person to fill that vacancy. And we'll have to wait for her, but in the meantime, since we're making decisions about things, let's see if she can make that meeting. And if she can't, yeah, would you be willing to step in?
Am I allowed to?
I think you believe the budget, because you're on already 2 committees.
No, it's
No,
just,
we just can't have more than 2 people in one, yeah.
If one of you can be on every one of them,
Right.
it just limits other people can't be on.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because there can only be 2.
Okay.
So we'll connect on that.
I'd be happy to.
Okay, thank you. All right,
Hopefully 2026 will be, you know, bigger and better for the downtown businesses, and look forward to doing what we can to facilitate that.
great. Thank you all. We are adjourned. Joey, turn us off.
It's like,